Alright, we're recording. Hello. I'm in a terrible mood. I'll tell you why once this stuff's in the oven, but I'm making a Swiss roll. I've just made some fresh blackberry jam, which let me grab out. This blackberry jam I made from things I harvested myself, with a dash of candied rhubarb thrown in from my grandparents who decided to give me some, which added the pectin, which allowed it to set. So there's a blackberry jam that I've just freshly made. I'm going to be making a Swiss roll that is textured with almond and Moroccan almond extract. Obviously, I'm going to add some vanilla for sweetness to add on with the sugar because it goes really well. But first of all, we need to make a sabian. Anyone who is somewhat aware of pastry will know exactly what a sabian is, and it's rather important. Okay, you take 3 eggs, 75 grams of sugar, and combine them together until you can draw a figure 8 with the liquid, so bear with me. Good choice in not going over. I've just been over there. I'm going mad for that. Yeah.
Having a laugh if I'm going over there.
Nearly there. There are 2 different types of sabians. You've got the cold sabian and hot sabian. In this case, we're making a cold sabian, which is basically aerated egg. It'll just get foamy, but because you add the sugar, it stabilises it, creating a very thick liquid instead of a bunch of bubbles. I'm recording. But no, the sabian is nearly ready. It's nearly can draw a full figure 8, so I should do this about another 30 seconds. Then I'm going to have to sift and fold the flour in twice. There's 75 grams of flour, 3 eggs, and some sugar. There we go, pop this to the side behind the camera. Whew. You see, sabian, one of the main reasons to do a sabian is to help something raise. Because of the way you've aerated the egg, when combined with self-raising flour, it creates a great soft texture. Whereas if you hadn't aerated the egg, the only raising agent would be the flour. So with 2 raising agents, it's going to improve the texture, make it much, a better texture and softer. Whereas otherwise it'd just be like really thick cake. Those horrible ones that are super dense, made by maybe your niece or something, and she has no idea what a raising agent is. But yeah, you just fold the flour in. It is self-raising flour, so its job is in the materials used to make it. But you've got to fold the flour in, try not to leave any lumps. You've got to be very careful because you don't want to knock the air out of the egg. Because if you knock the air out of the egg, then what was the point in you doing the eggs in the first place? You've ruined it, and you're just going to have to cook it and hope for the best. Some people sift it twice, which is a fair point. I don't really feel it's necessary personally. Maybe if I was in a more serious setting, like in my pastry kitchen, then I would sift it twice to be sure. But personally, I don't feel it's necessary. It's gone a little bit lumpy, but that's because I didn't do it in 2 stages, which is where you put some flour in, fold it in, put some flour in, fold it in. But I am just cooking for fun today, so I don't care too much. But you know the correct process, so if you want to reproduce it with no lumps, then that's how you do it. Instead of looking for completely consistent texture, I'm just making sure the flour has been well incorporated. Because as long as that's it, you're not going to find little flour spots, because they're a sign of amateur baking, and it's not good quality to find. Now, the fun part. Because that is the base sabayon with flour added, that is your Swiss roll mix. Now, this is where it gets fun, because the flavouring. Standard flavouring is your vanilla. This will just be plain as balls. You want to add a bit of vanilla, just naturally to almost all of them, except for chocolate cake based ones, which you might want to do a different variety. A tiny bit of vanilla, because vanilla just brings out the sweetness. You want to grab a tiny bit of salt, not too much, just a little bit to help hide the bitterness from any of the extracts you're using. Now that's not only what I'm doing, that is the standard recipe. Now I've got some Moroccan almond, which I'm going to add to improve the flavour. Ooh, that smells delicious. I'm not going to add too much because it's quite strong. Just a little bit, it's quite sweet as well. And to create a textured sponge, you can either add coconut or almond. If you get creative, I'm sure you can figure out another method. Personally, I'm just going to add some almond in. I'm not measuring it, just until I find it's at the texture that I'm happy with. I've already preheated the oven to gas mark 4.5. Yeah, the cooking temperature is gas mark 4, which is 180 Celsius. But I brought it up a few extra Celsius because when you open the door, you let all that heat out. And that's not as good as what you would want. I should have probably done the eggs a bit longer, but doesn't matter. Now that I've mixed all that stuff in, I get my baking tray. Got my awesome silicone mat. Always recommend you buy one because they're just awesome. It's a bit liquidier than I would have hoped, but that's what I get for rushing it a little. I love silicone spatulas because they help, get it out of the bowl where is the less waste. Spread it out evenly to try and get an even spread. You want to have it longer on one edge and shorter on the other, because when doing a Swiss roll you want to roll it and you're going to want a couple of rolls, so you want some length to it. If you have a spatula, which I do, I'm not going to use one today, you can use it to help spread it out and make your life easier. Because mine's so liquidy, it'd be useless to use a spatula. So I am just trying to get even distribution. Now that I've got a basically square function, I'm going to place this in the oven for about 8 minutes at the temperature I've already specified. At the top, where the heat will rise the best, because heat rises. Now I'm going to leave that. I don't want to open the door because that'll let the heat out. While that's cooking, I'll go into a bit more detail of why I'm here today. I love cooking anyway, I just love it. And I had the idea to use this new BlackBerry jam that I made to make a Swiss roll. Didn't expect to put almonds in it, but that was just a whim. But no, I've been put in quite a rough mood. It's stupid, but I like playing a game, and in this game that I spent about 30 hours of my hard-earned time to win a very good item. It's still silly because it's just a game, but that item got scammed out of it because I've got the brain cells of a tulip. It is ridiculous. I somehow fell for the scam. The person was a very good scammer, to be fair, very smart, and I've learnt the lesson, but ooh, it put me in a bad mood. I just screamed, I was like, "You prick!" But it happens. Never been scammed before, so that's the first time I've ever been scammed, so it's better now than in the future. That's weird. It's a weird thing to find in flour. Sorry, getting distracted. Well, while I'm letting that cook, which I'm going to set a timer with my Alexa. Alexa, set a 7-minute timer. Now there's a 7-minute timer. This is where we start cleaning up a bit, get things away, get everything ready. I'm going to leave this out in case I want to do anything special with it. Now's the important step though, is you get another baking sheet, place it down, get caster sugar, place that on top, not like that with a sieve because you're not stupid like me. Well, actually I don't really need it, I'll just get rid of these chunks. Many people will sieve it. I'm just spreading out a thin layer of caster sugar over the whole baking sheet. You can use baking parchment, cooking parchment, baking paper, anything you so desire. But you just need to get a layer of sugar because this is what's going to stop it from sticking. This same recipe can also be used if you like making a mousse and you wanted a sponge base. Cut some out, do the same process, but then cut them out before it goes completely cold. Then you can get a nice almond sponge base. With that sponge base, you can build on top of it. You can get a nice mousse in a ring, stick that on top. Before you do that though, is if you create a casing for the mousse, you can put a nice little filling, maybe a jam or a jelly, cover it off, cap it, freeze it, pop it on top, and then you can just sprinkle a bit of chocolate on and you have a delicious mousse. Love mousse, so good. These are already clean mostly, so I'm not going to go over them too much. Another reason you might want to increase the temperature a little is if you've got an oven that's not quite even. Even if it's fan assisted, sometimes you just got a bad oven like me. Piece of crap. You might want to increase the temperature a bit so it gets migrated well. Or, on the flip side, you might want to cool the temperature down and do it over a longer period of time to make sure it has more time to consistently, evenly cook. I'm more going the forceful way and pushing it through. Both methods work. It depends on your situation, your personal oven problems. These are all things you should keep in mind. While that's heating up, that water, I'm just going to get rid of the debris on the items. Go, so please get the sponge out, and this is how you get a perfectly washed items. I always like to clean up while things are cooking, just get everything ready for the final stage of the process. Member decided to say hello. Just going to wash their hands. They seem to have realised I was recording. I couldn't really tell them because they were entertaining guests, so I couldn't tell them that I was recording earlier. It seems that either one of my family members had tipped them off, or they figured it out quite quickly. Probably because they can hear me nattering off in the corner. Like, is he going crazy or is he recording a video? We do not know. I guess I'll find out when I go to see if there was actually anything recorded. For all this matter, I could have not recorded this whole thing and regret it. That would suck so much. I'm recording this as one lump sum, so I'm going to have to edit and stitch it together because I cannot be bothered for that crap. Like, I'm not in the mood for that kind of stuff. And not only that, it's not easy on your phone. I could do it on my computer, but that involves importing it, exporting it, make sure it's the correct file types, going through that a bunch of loops, because I was using unfamiliar editing software. Ugh. When I record on my computer, it's much easier because that's one less stage that needs to be encoded, because sometimes there's problems when taking files off your phone and moving them onto your PC. And it's just, I'm decent with PCs, but sometimes I struggle a bit. It happens. Yeah, I just checked, I am still recording, that's good. That wouldn't be fun if I really wasn't. I'd be like, oh no! So I'll leave these out. Now that I've washed up the majority of items, get things dry, get ready for the next stage. I'm probably going to leave these out and use them as decorations on top, you know, just poke a few in. But now, I need to prep a container for my jam. Because I'm going to have to heat the jam up to allow me to use it effectively. I have to move this because I'm going to need the microwave. Look at that. Now that is a well set jam. I was actually a bit worried because I thought I'd put too much water in the process of making it. But I am so happy with how this turned out. It's so tasty. It wasn't too hard. It was just a 1-to-1 ratio of blackberries to sugar. Any sugar will work. You can use jam sugar if you want to add pectin, but blackberries have a lot of pectin in them anyway. And even then, I added a bit of candied rhubarb, just one stick to the whole batch, just to add some more pectin, add a bit of flavour, make it a bit more creative. That should be enough. I don't see myself using any more than that, but actually that might be a bit too much. Don't want to waste my favourite new product. Ooh. The reason why I like it is because it tastes fresh. You know what I mean? That flavour of it actually being from a garden. Well, in this case, it was from a local park. Because I went to a park in my hometown, which is not too far away. But I went there and met a friend, and I went blackberry picking there, and I picked up a nice, sizable bag. Went to my grandparents because they live there. Said hello. They threw a bunch of random items at me, just ridiculously. Like, they was like, oh, take this, take that, take this, we're clearing out stuff, take it. And I'm like, no, you're being too generous. And I left there with like 7 new items. And the candied rhubarb, which I used for the pectin to add more to the blackberry.
Are you going to edit that?
No. I'm doing it as one lump sum and I'm just going to put it straight on YouTube.
Oh, that's it, it's still recorded now.
Yeah.
Hello, YouTube!
I hate the converting files from my phone to PC.
Not keep talking though, keep me
Yeah, I
interested.
am. I just went silent because you walked through.
No, right, I do apologise. Carry on, YouTube!
Oh, I can smell it. Yeah, it seems to be setting quite well. Oh, I can smell it. It smells so good. You have no idea. You can really smell the vanilla. That's why you got to be careful how much you add. I'll show you the products that I've used on a closer spectrum. Let me look at the camera so I can make sure you guys can actually see it. This is the vanilla I used. Sorry if the backlighting's not helping you out. You also have Moroccan almond. Pretty cheap, that's the crap stuff. This is the better stuff. And I've just got flaky almonds from Tesco's. These are pretty good. Don't mind if I do. They're a bit old, so they're a bit chewy. Aside from that, just use normal sugar. Sugar you can get anywhere. This is silver spoon, cast off. Self-raising flour of any normal variety, and 3 eggs. If you can get it from a local supplier to support local businesses, please do. If you can get fair treatment chickens, that's even better. Because obviously the poor things get brutally abused. I still eat meat. I just try and be ethically sourcing of this stuff. Let me go check the timer. Alexa, stop. Now, it should be ready, but I'm not convinced. So I'm going to give it an extra 2 minutes, just in case, because I want to let the heat out. Find out it's raw, and be like, Oh no! You know what I mean? Oh, look at this. This is something new we started doing. Chocolates! These are Hershey's cookies and cream. They've started bringing out a lot of Hershey products in England recently. Well, recently, the last few years. They really gave a great push, but that is a real nice product to have. And the fact that we have a whole jar of them is awesome. Just buy them from Costco, bulk buy. They're so damn cheap. It's like picking candy from a baby. Or in this case, candy from a multi-store that sells from local businesses. Oh! Yep, don't know that. That's something I forgot to clean. Okay. Prepare my tea towel. Always be careful when handling heat. Not everyone has got tempered hands like me who can take things out the oven. But my max is about 90 Celsius. I can hold things at about 90 Celsius if I want to. It's not fun though, it still hurts. I just don't really get burned from it. That I couldn't take out the oven because it's 180 Celsius, about double my limit. But if it's in a steamer, like if there's a massive steamer unit, I can just pull it straight out of the oven if I've given it a minute to cool down. So let's have a look. Seems alright. Yes, I know this is a boning knife. I'm going to let that cool down for a split second. Use the back of the knife to release the edge while it's cooler. You see how I'm slipping the knife underneath? Yes, I know this is a boning knife, it's not for this job, but didn't have a good one on hand. Try not to poke through your silicone mat if you're using one. But no, I'm running it along the edge as it starts to cool, because as it cools, it's going to harden. And as it hardens, it gets stronger and less damaging. I solely do this just because I personally feel it makes it come off easier. Oh, there we go. See, told you. Comes off easier. Now you take this, as long as you can actually handle it with your hands, and flip. I had a bit of a tear, but that's to be expected because it is a bit rushed. And you now have a textured almond sponge. The middle is a bit thicker than the rest, but it's alright. Let's have a look. I'm happy with that. Bit of sugar, move it about a bit to make sure the bottom gets evenly coated with sugar. Start the timer for your jam. Very thin layer, just in case so it goes wrong. Just a very thin layer to help it hold. Because you want to be quick about this, because while it's cooling, it's hardening. Because if you wait too long, you'll know, trust me. Quick. Running out of time. I don't like to do it all the way to the edges because it gets much harder to roll. So only do that if you're really confident. I like to leave a bit of wiggle room. Oh, it smells so good. Yep. I waited too long. It's cooled down too much. But it's still going to be tasty. And that is how you make a homemade Swiss roll with a standard sponge. Hope you enjoyed. Now I am going to be slicing into this and trying. Remove the end, which is the bit I'm going to have. Would you look at that? It's not a perfect sponge, but it was a bit rushed. Hope you enjoyed and see you next time.